Hey, everyone, and welcome to Confidence Conversations with your host and confidence mentor, Miss Dorothy Inez, and my guest, which is Miss Leilani Wells, who is a social media strategist. She is in the house today, all the way from Washington State. Welcome, Leilani.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're sorry. We recognize we're a little bit behind the clock, but whenever you're doing Facebook Lives and different things, you encounter different challenges, but we were committed to showing up. And so here we are.
Yes.
So let me tell you a little bit about today's, why I do these conversations. And the reason I do these conversations is because so many women secretly struggle with self-doubt, negative thinking, especially as we begin to up-level our lives and up-level our business. And the thing, what I found is there's this stigma around sharing, you know what? I'm struggling in these areas and nobody wants to talk about them because as leaders, as experts, we're not supposed to struggle with confidence, right? We're supposed to have it all together, right, Leilani? We have it all together,
right? I'm perfect.
Yes. But what we know and what I know as a confident woman and as a confidence mentor is that each level in our evolution, we encounter what I call a confidence devil, because each time we go to up level, our confidence is challenged because we're moving into unfamiliar territory. And as long as we're in the familiar territory, we feel confident. And so I decided to bring on different experts, friends that I know that are really doing it, that are confident, but I know still struggle with, at times with self-doubt and with negative thinking. And so we just want to have a conversation today and hopefully give you some nuggets to help you be able to work through those periods in your life. So for those of you that don't know, I'm your girl, Dorothy Inez, and I love helping ultra-confident women who struggle with self-doubt and negative thinking overcome those by helping them have spiritual wisdom and principles that help them to overcome those areas, as well as using my experience, as an expert in confidence and personal brand. So today, let me introduce you to my guest, Miss Leilani Wells. Leilani, I met Leilani. What's it been, Leilani? Like what, 7 years ago?
It's been a while, yeah. I think it was about 6 years ago, because I think Giovanni was, no, it hasn't been that. It feels like we've been friends forever, but yeah. It hasn't been that long. It's been only about 4 years ago, I think.
No.
Yeah, because Giovanni's 7. He's 7, and yeah. Isn't
really?
that wild?
Okay, yeah, it feels like, because I know I was in California and I had just moved there, and that was 5 years ago. So anyways, I've known this chick for a long time. Okay?
Yes.
And she's one of my very first clients, and I think I was her first coach, right?
Yes, you were my first coach, and I just placed it. Actually, we did meet when Gio was a baby, so it was about 6 years ago.
Yeah, so you were small, but I knew it was. I met you when I had just moved to California. But let me tell you about this amazing woman and my friend Leilani Wells. Leilani is a business mentor, Instagram expert, and the owner of Leilani Media. She is known as the Queen. Where's your crown, girl?
I know, right? Actually, I don't know if you can see it in camera.
Instagram for coaches and entrepreneurs, and has the unique ability of recognizing the highest level of self in individuals. She quickly identifies their highest potential, guides them to it, and then shares how to amplify their unique gifts within the world of social media. So welcome again, Miss Leilani. I am so glad to have you. And today we're just going to have a conversation, so get comfortable. Those of you watching, since we are, what do you call it, broadcasting. Yeah, that's what you call it, broadcasting. from Be Live today. I guess there's been some changes, so I can't see. Hey, Martin Kimber, he's tuning in. I can't see all of your comments, so Leilani and I will be sure to come back to them. Put hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay. And any questions or comments, please do engage, because we want to engage with you after. We'll come to the after party and answer all your questions and review all your comments. So Leilani, let's get started. Tell us how you got started in this business that you're currently doing. That, you know, how did you get started in this?
I love this question, and thank you so much for having me, by the way. I'm so excited about this. And just so you guys know, so Dorothy Inez is a big part of how I did get started in this. And what's really cool about this is it really goes to show there's layers of my story where I can share with you guys how I had to up-level my confidence in order to get to that next level. And when I first started looking at social media, it was when I was at a very difficult part in my life. My son, I just mentioned a little earlier, my son, he's about a little over 7 years old. And he and I were before we had the family unit we have now, it was just he and I. For about 4.5 years, I was a single mother. And I was doing all the things, you know, I thought like I had it figured out. And then one day I realized I was broke. And even though I had gotten a degree as a single mother, become a homeowner as a single mother, and when I say single mother, my family's in another state, I had zero help. It wasn't like someone took him on the weekends and I went to the club, you know, it was just me. Yeah. And so I was working a job. And then after I got off work, I did a network marketing business, did meetings, all these things. And then I still had no money. And I was like, how is this happening? And I wound up going on social media. And the reason why I decided to start working on social media and networking on social media was because I had no time. And we all know people say, oh, we have no time. And it's all a bunch of BS typically, right? People have time. But really, I was sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night if I was lucky. I had no time. And so when I was at work and everyone else was going on their 15-minute or 30-minute break, chatting, smoking cigarettes, I was at my computer discovering social media was a way that I could maximize the little bit, a few minutes, and make connections. And Dorothy Inez was one of those connections. I found out about this amazing event she put on, and I found a way to get there. And I entered into this contest and got a free consultation. And there was a time about, I think it was, what was it, like a week or two after that when we talked on the phone?
Yes.
And when people talk to you guys about their prices, their coaching packages and all that stuff, you know, they're worth whatever they price, right? Everyone's worth whatever they believe they're worth. And that's what I strongly feel. I never complain about people's prices. So when I couldn't afford somebody, at the time I could not afford Dorothy Inez. And I wanted her to understand that I wasn't trying to pinch pennies or get her to give me some freebie or, you know, just be rude. I said, you are worth every damn penny. And I wish I could hire you so much. You're amazing. But I'm literally like this week selling my car. So I'm trying not to cry right now. I'm literally this week selling my car so I don't lose my house and I can keep a roof over my son's head. And I have to make that decision. And that's the reality of where I'm at. So when I say I can't afford it, like I'm not one of those people. I really can't, you know, because we all know we can get money when we need to get money, when we really want something, right? And so I don't tell people stuff like that, you know. So she said, you know what, I never do this, but I have to do this. And she gave me a month's free coaching. And that was the beginning of our friendship. That was the beginning of just me learning so much about different techniques. And I think that's the first lesson in confidence. It's also one of the realizations of how I got into social media and how I found social media, but it's also a realization in confidence, because in order to be that vulnerable, right? Because I didn't have to tell someone that, you know, I could have been like, oh, I want her to think I'm cool and this and that, and this is a business connection potentially, and I don't want anyone to know I'm that broke, you know. But it takes vulnerability. So I hope you guys have a pen and paper. I hope you're always coming to her stuff with a pen and paper, because she's pen and paper worthy every damn time. But I mean, the thing is that the first thing that you need to know about confidence is, in order to be confident, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable. So please write that down. Vulnerability is the key, because once you, and it's also the key to connectivity as well. You know, you can't connect without vulnerability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a really great point that you bring up, Leilani, is that confidence, it takes confidence to be vulnerable. And it also is a confidence builder to be, because you find out, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in this. Other people are struggling in this area. And oftentimes, it like you said, it's that point of relatability, because a confident woman doesn't have a problem sharing her truth. You know,
exactly.
Get my words out. So it's definitely a great point. And yeah, when I met Leilani, it's like one of the things about me and how I operate is, you know, Leilani is very spirit driven. And when I heard Leilani's story, is like my spirit was just like, you have to work with this person. And this is something a lot of people don't know. You know, I do. And Leilani kind of inspired this. Is from that point on, Leilani, I committed myself that once a year I scholarship one woman just like you, who I see potential in, that I know needs my coaching. And it's like, and it only comes from God. You know, it's just like, she's the one, and you were the one. And I'm just so proud of the growth that you are experiencing. And I'm just so proud of you, Leilani.
I appreciate you so much. Yeah.
So tell us, you know, so you kind of mentioned, you know, where you were when you got started. Tell us about time, you know, times where as you've been growing, you've experienced that self-doubt, and, you know, maybe that negative thinking has tried to come in and destroy your confidence. And what are some things that you did? Because, you know, no matter where we're at, that, like I said, that little confidence devil tries to creep in and be like, well, you can't, girl, who are you? Girl, you know you don't have, like you said, you know you have no money for that. Why are you doing it? Tell us about how that tries to keep showing up as you're evolving.
Absolutely. So, you know, a lot of our belief systems around where the areas of confidence we're confident in, right? Because I've never found anyone to be to not have confidence entirely. I've never met anyone who had zero confidence. I've noticed that we always have, depending upon the person, there's areas we lack in confidence.
Right.
And I find that the areas, so write this down, guys, areas you lack in confidence. You're not confident or not confident. You're lacking in confidence in specific areas. And why is this? We're lacking in confidence in specific areas because of our past circumstances. Okay, our past circumstances. So for me, I lived a life, you know, there's a lot of people who grew up in families where maybe they were poor, maybe they were rich, or maybe they were middle class, right? For myself, my upbringing has been both a blessing and a curse, if you will, for like the niche, the common way to say it, you know, the cliche way to say it is the easiest way right now. I don't believe it was really a curse though, but, but just so people get the point, get it out there quick. Yeah, right. But and the reason I say that is because I can relate, you know, being from so many financial backgrounds and so many different ethnic, you know, backgrounds and so many different things. I have relatability and understand so many different types of people. But that being said, the other aspect to me is I never had any consistency in the way the way money was presented in my life, like the way money was supposed to be handled, the way business was supposed to be tended to. When I grew up, sometimes we were poor, sometimes we had a lot of money, Sometimes we had, you know, it was always different. Sometimes we live in the hood. Sometimes
Right.
we had a backyard, you know, and it's like, what the heck? You know what I mean? And so for me, I always knew how to get money, but I never knew how to keep it because that goes with my past, right? And so I want you guys to understand that was an area I was lacking confidence in because I was identifying with my past. And I was identifying with it rather than learning and growing and working through these things.
Yeah.
Hence why I had a business degree in marketing and business, a bachelor's in marketing and business. I was running 2 businesses, not one. I didn't tell you about the other one I was running at the same time. I was working a full-time job. And yes, I was a single mother, but I also had a tenant, like, why am I losing my house? I obviously was doing something wrong with my money. You know, and I wasn't running around buying Gucci bags, but I just didn't know how to handle it properly, obviously, right? And so that was an area in confidence that I was lacking in. And so I want y'all to write down that you are lacking in confidence in an area, not lacking in confidence. So now you can understand if you have confidence in other areas, it's not a matter of I don't understand how to be confident.
Right.
It's that I have not worked on something, and let's just work on it, right?
Yeah,
And
women think it has to be all, you know, it's like an all or nothing, you know, and like you're saying, that you bring up a really good point, because we can feel really confident in certain areas, but then there's certain areas where we aren't as confident. And so we, you know, it's kind of what is it?
Is it
Well, no. What?
Carpe diem, it sees the day, but that sees the day. No.
Compartmentalize.
Oh, compartmentalize. Yes. Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalized. Yes. Yeah. You know, we have like these little areas where it will, you know, it'll show up. It's not just you as a whole person may feel confident, but if I ask you to do X, Y, or Z, step out and start cold calling for sales or something, and you're not confident, you know, or jump in front of a video. Oh, but I don't like the way I look. You know, things will trigger us to awaken to where we, you know, there's opportunities to grow. And that's what I think, you know, and this is just coming to me when I think of confidence, is it just shows us where we have opportunities to grow. It's nothing bad. We want to remove the stigma off of it, because we all have areas that we need to grow and master so that we can be the man, the woman that God has called us to be. So very good. Very good. Did you guys write that down? What Leilani said to write down? That was really good, because, and I agree with you, Leilani, it comes from our past. You know, they tell us the first 6 years are instrumental in laying the foundation for who we are. And I look at my own life, my confidence struggled because I was abandoned by my birth mother at the age of 4. That left me feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. Nobody, you know, nobody wants me. And over the years, you know, there were other messages that supported that as I grew, and I had a blended family, and so that message kept getting pounded into me. And so here I was, you know, in my adult life, still struggling with that. But until we have that awakening that past is still affecting us, it will continue to affect us.
And not only does it bleed over, and what was that? I'm sorry.
I was saying it lays dormant in our subconscious until something triggers it and brings it forth.
Yes, it sure does. It sure does. And it can trick us. It can trick us. It can make us feel like it's another area that we're not confident in. Because, you know, when you can be living a life of authenticity. And when you're living a life of authenticity, and you're really proud and you're putting yourself out there in a real way, but you're lacking in confidence, you can feel like you're lying, right? You can feel like a fraud, you know? And when you feel like a fraud, then it makes you do weird things and you know, maybe you show up on camera strangely and now you're judging the way you look on camera, and you're judging all the wrong things about yourself instead of inspecting the real, you know, getting down to the root of what it really is. So it's bleeding over. Yeah. Like you said, the layers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's the beauty of awareness. That's the beauty of doing the work, you know, the kind of work that I do, which is the deep spiritual stuff, because it helps you to dive deep and get at the root so you can break free, so that you can do the things like a Leilani is going to be asking you to do when she's your social media coach, because it's going to be all about showing up. And if you're not comfortable in who you are, it's going to be hard to execute at the level that a social media coach is going to want you, or that coach that's trying to help you attain that 6 figures, because it's going to require you to play a bigger game. So you've got to get to the root of what's holding you back. So Leilani, what are some of the things that you've done to help shift your level of confidence as you've up leveled? Because I've watched you these last few years, and Diva, you are on the rise. Tell us, you know, what have you been doing? What tools and techniques and trainings maybe you've taken that have really helped ground you in who you are?
So there's a couple of things I'm going to share with your guests that they're going to love, and a couple of things that they're not.
Okay.
But it's all real.
Yeah, right.
It's all real. I'm just like forewarning y'all. Okay. So this one I think you're going to love. So one top thing is that you need to understand your vision. You need to have a clear vision.
Down, write this down. This is juice. Yeah, write it down.
Right. You need to have a clear vision, and the vision has to be what you have to offer for other people. Because you may not show up for yourself, but you're not going to not show up for others and the people you care about and the people you love and the people attached to your vision. Right. And so I'll share with you guys an example, a story, about how I first started getting past one of my first confidence lessons. One of the big ones was about, you know, speaking in front of people. And what happened was I had this bucket list, and I had wanted to actually officiate one of my friends' weddings. You know, at least one. I wanted to do that once in my life. And I talked to my friend about it, and I didn't know she would say yes. I was like blown away that her and her husband said yes. And all of a sudden we get to that day, and it's about time for me to go out there. You'd think I was the bride the way I was acting. and I'm like standing there in front of the mirror, just nervous. And I'm like, I can't mess up, you know, her wedding. Like, what if people look at me and I mess up and this and that? And I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, that's it. That's what you're doing wrong. I said, what if you mess up? This is not about you. And I looked in the mirror and told myself, this is not about you.
Exactly.
This is not about you at all. Nobody cares about you. And I was like, lightning, right? And so now every time I am in front of anyone else, whether it be one person, 500 people, 1,000 people, I don't care. It's not about me.
Yep.
And so that's part of my vision, is to pour into people and help them up level. And if and when I'm only focused on that vision, then I'm not going to have those nerves anymore. I can go in front of an amphitheater of people. If my only focus is, what do I need to do to affect and change, inspire, get these people moving and shaking, knowing the power inside them.
Right.
So have that vision, and it's not about you.
Yep.
I mean, the part that's about you is the joy and what you're going to get, but not what you're going to give.
Right. Right. And that's the number one lesson, you know, that we all need to get as people who want to be of service, is that what she says, when you're, I teach this, the same principle as well, Leilani, is number one, when you're doing video, it's not about you. And you're talking about speaking. It's not about you, because when you are worrying about you, to me, you're an ego. you know,
Mm-hmm.
edged God out. And when
Mm-hmm.
you get off the throne and you just say, you know what, use me, be a tool, I'm an instrument, and it's okay, you know, I believe it's okay to have nerves, but those nerves cannot be about you. It's just,
Exactly.
we have we get nervous. Public speaking is hard. It's okay. But where that nervousness is coming from, you, So I agree. Get you off the throne and focus on the people you're called to serve. Great tip, Leilani.
Yes. One more thing I'd like to share about that too. It doesn't mean that you don't show up looking great, or like how Dorothy Inez has that beautiful background, makeup and hair done right, everything. That she's doing that for you, right? So
And
when I say it's not
for me
and
too.
for her, yes.
You know, I'm just the temple of God. I can't be fan of looking all raggedy, okay?
Right. But my point is you don't show up. You don't, when we worry about how we look, we shouldn't worry, we should set it right because it's supposed to be set right. But once you're ready to go, you get out there and you pour into what's for somebody else, right? Because, and I say this, I wanted to add that too, because we're, I don't know if most of your audience is women, but we're women, so I'm assuming most of them are.
Yep.
And I know how we are as women. We look at our physical, like before we came in, I was like, let me get this blanket to hide my role. Nobody cares about my role. You know what I mean?
We did.
I do. They don't care, but I care. It's like, really,
We were like, girl, I see that role. Did you see Leilani's role?
I know, I can't take her seriously now.
No, Leilani brings up really great points. And again, because it's like, for me, I believe everything I do is as unto God, because you have to show up with excellence, because it's a reflection of your business. If you show up, like I say, if I don't take care of me, how am I going to take care of you, Leilani? And, and if I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I'm representing to me, God, I'm an instrument of God. And for me, this is how I believe, then I need to show up in alignment with that, with the excellence that requires. And so, and that helps to build my confidence, So really good stuff. So did you have another tip for them? Did you have another juicy nugget?
I do.
Girl.
I do, and I'm laughing because this is the one they're not going to like.
Okay, tell us.
But it works. This is a big one. Okay, let me get in close. My head's probably chopped off. This is big. Okay. All right. You know that saying, everything you want is on the other side of fear? Well, this is like huge for me in the up leveling. Every time I up level, every single time I feel so scared and my confidence is like plummeting because I'm scared, right? That's what's happening when you're lacking confidence. You're scared, you're freaking out, and it's just like boom, 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 spiraling down. So I have a rule, and if you give yourself rules, so I guess this is two-part. Give yourself rules.
Okay.
And then when you don't know what to do, you just follow that rule. And when you give yourself rules, you give yourself the rules that will work, right? Like one could be, be clear on your vision, and you revisit that vision all the time, right? So my thing is that if I feel afraid of something, I'm running towards it and not away from it. And the only time I wouldn't do it is unless it's a grizzly bear or something. Then I'm running the opposite direction. I'm like, out of here. I'm out of here. But the others, any situation where I'm scared and fearful, I am literally, that's my rule. I run towards it as fast as I can, go for it. Because why? Because the proof that I've had, and I've always had this proof, it's never done me wrong, is that on the other side, like the saying goes, on the other side of fear is everything, right? So all my successes, all my joys, everything, even being a mother, everything was on the other side of my fears. And so what happens as a business owner when you gain success? The only way you can gain success is by pushing past fears over and over, because you're always going to be freaked out in business, right? But the more and more you do that, it builds your confidence.
Right.
Because You don't, a lot of people, there's a secret here in success. We think, a lot of people who haven't had experienced financial success think that the reward is the money, right? And that's what gives you confidence. But the secret is that the confidence comes when you have failed so much and survived.
Yeah.
That's what really, yeah, that repetition. I have more confidence from my failures than I do my successes. And that's why you'll see business owners and people who have a lot of money and that are like walking like this, like Tony Robbins has his chest out and everyone's like walking like, they just know they have so much to offer. And that's because they failed more than you. You think they've succeeded more than you? But they failed more than you. And they failed more than you because in order to achieve a high level of success, you need to put yourself out there over and 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 over.
Yes.
And that is why you hit those successes that mitigate the failures. And the failures gives you that confidence.
You just triggered in me an idea. I mean, creating a failure practice. A failure practice, and you could even call it a confidence practice, but that confidence practice is being willing to fail over and over, or perceived failure, because really there's no failures, there's really just growth and learning. But if we have to label it, what if you just did a confidence practice and allowed yourself to fail over and over? Because, we've all heard the story about Colonel Sanders. How many times did Colonel Sanders get turned down over and rejected over and over and over and over before somebody finally said yes to that chicken recipe, and it's still around today.
He had a clear vision.
Yeah, and he didn't get to enjoy it very long, but he stayed focused, and he was willing to take those no's. And what happens is so many of us let failure stop us. We start to lose our courage because, I got 3 no's or whatever you're experiencing it. And who knows, you're just on the step of getting that success you need, but you quit. We've all heard about it. You were just, and there's plenty of people that say, I was just about to quit, but something in me said, try one more time. And it was that one more time that led to the success. But it takes courage. It takes vision, like Leilani is saying. She didn't say courage, but this is what it is. When she's going towards that thing that scares her, that's courage. It's something that it's feeling. It's okay to feel what you feel, that anxiety, but it takes courage to keep going. And for me, I gravitate to scriptures. And whenever I'm feeling that, I say, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but one of love, one of peace, and of a sound mind. And I really ground myself in that, and I go forward. Because nothing formed against me is going to prosper. Nothing. Because, if God is for me, who can be against me? See, that's how I train my mind, and I just go. It's like, yeah, cool. I keep going.
Oh, I just thought of something, Dorothy Inez. I just thought of something. We all have the same ingredients, but what are you going to cook?
Yeah.
What are you going to cook?
Girl, what you going to cook? That was good, Leilani. So good. That was good. I hope you guys got some of those juicy nuggets right there from Leilani. We were flowing. We were in the flow. So Leilani, with social media, this is your expertise. I hear women all the time talk about, I don't like being on social media because, it makes me feel bad about myself. What kind of advice can you give a woman who is allowing, because really at the end of the day, it's a choice to allow what other people are doing in social media to impact your level of confidence and sense of self. What advice would you give those women who are struggling with that? Because no matter what I say, it's going to still be a struggle for some women.
So I'm so glad you asked me that. That's one of the top things that people come to me with. And just before I give this to you guys, just so you understand a little bit about my personality, I tell it like it is. If you need to hear something, I'm going to tell you because I love you. I don't have to know you to love you. And if you are coming from that space, all you're thinking about is yourself. That's what you're thinking about. You're not thinking about who you can help. You're not understanding, that you're needed. If you're sitting there comparing yourself to other people, you're really caught up, like Dorothy Inez was sharing, in your ego. Because at the end of the day, the tides have turned. People are getting famous in a hairnet right now, all over social media, because they're offering value. People don't care, about how you look all the time. They don't care about if you show up. There's this guy who is like this guy from like this small town. He's like famous for being a redneck, and he's hilarious. Catfish Cooley. I love him. Catfish Cooley. Okay. He looks crazy on camera, and he's got like millions of followers, celebrities, because the value he offers is bringing people together and showing them love. He shows love. He shows up looking crazy on camera, and nobody cares. Right. So if you're sitting there thinking about, I feel some type of way by showing up, then you're not thinking, what can I do? If you have a business, how is my business? What is my business doing for other people? And if 10,000 more people can see it, how can I impact them? Right? How can I impact them? Well, they need to know you exist. And how do they know you exist? Well, all you have to do is alive and get it shared or make an extra post. You don't have to do everything all at once, but you can do what I like to tell people, something rather than no thing, right? And so anytime you find yourself in comparison mode, understand it for what it really is to get out of it faster. And it's ego. It's not coming from a space of giving. And it doesn't mean you're not a giving person, but that's the space you're living in the moment.
Right. And that's where that past, because see, that past stuff is coming in, and this is where we need to recognize is how is, my past facilitating this current thought? How, what's the role is it playing? And you might need to go journal on that. You might need to, again, you might need a mindset coach. You want to get support instead of allowing yourself, because see, so many women, they just want to stay stuck in this place, or they don't know how to get the help. And this is why it's important to be in community, to reach out and ask for help, because the more you can get help in shifting this up here, you'll begin to see shifts in all areas of your life when you can get rid of, as they say, that stinking thinking. Right?
Yes. Oh, one thing I want to point out before I forget about that, Dorothy Inez. Yes. I want you guys to understand what social media is. So if you know that this is an area you need to focus on, that social media, I want you guys in your business area to put this up somewhere. So you stop saying social media until you get it through your head what it really is. But social media is communication, and then underlying communication. So now you understand it for what it really is. It's communication on a massive scale, but just let's focus on the word communication. So what is it that is deterring you from communicating? Now it's easier when you stop calling it social media, because it's easy to hide behind, oh, I'm nervous about social media because so many other people are saying it, right? And now you're part of a group and you guys all feel proud of each other. Oh, you're scared, I'm scared, yay, we're part of a club. No. Now when you call it communication, that's not a fun club to be. I'm scared to communicate. Oh, now you feel like a little weird, right? Like I'm a weirdo. I'm in the weirdo club. You know what I mean? Like now you're going to be like, oh, okay, let me communicate what I do. So I just wanted to make sure to get that into you guys.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it, is communication. And one thing I want to point out too, just on this subject, is a lot of people say, oh, I don't like being on social media too, when they're, because they are in that comparison state, or they're like, oh, it's so negative. And I want to remind people, is you are in control of what shows up and who shows up in your feed. So you can choose to get rid of, hide some of those people that, at this time where you're at in your journey, that may not make you feel good, just hide them for now. But I really encourage you to work on you. Be willing to do the work and to really see it, like Leilani said, is this is a form of communicating. Before, you could only communicate with people that were in your local area. Now, social media gives you the opportunity to communicate worldwide and meet people and make friends with people you never would have connected with without social media, and reconnect with some of those people. So I really like the way you've repositioned that for us, Leilani. I love it. Thank you so much. So my last question before we go, because I hear this one a lot, Leilani, is so many women say, you know, I need a break from social media. Detox. I'm going to detox. I'm going to do a 10-day, a 21-day, a 30-day detox, okay, on social media. And I've thought about it, okay? So I'm going to be, because this was kind of, I'm curious, how have you seen that? Because I know you did that for a little bit. How can that impact a business owner's confidence? Let me see, how do I word this? How does that impact the way the public views you? How does that shift their confidence in you as a brand when you do these, you disappear?
That is a really great question, Dorothy Inez. A really great question. I love it because when I had to recently disappear, and that's a big deal as a social media strategist, to disappear from social media for like a month and a half. And I made a post and let everyone know. And so the thing is that I'm trying to remember her name. I think it was Barbara Corcoran said something that made it easier for me because I experienced a trauma in my life. So it was healthy to disappear. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like social media or I want to break. It wasn't like that. It was like, no. Yeah, it's like, no, it's as a, not just as a social media strategist, even if I wasn't, and just me being what I value, I believe that you should never show up publicly and pour anything into anyone else that has an energy that isn't something that benefits them, right? So I knew that experiencing a trauma and showing up isn't benefiting anyone with the energy I'd give out. So I made the decision to go silent for about a month and a half. And it was a great decision. And anytime somebody's making a decision like this, I want you guys to understand that people's attention span and memories are short. And Barbara Corcoran said, you know, if you're sitting here thinking about how people are thinking about you and all these things, like, you know, they're thinking about themselves. Like, you know what I mean? 5 seconds later, after you do something crazy or stupid or you mess up, they forget. Like that post that's coming out all over Instagram. And for those of you guys who are not utilizing Instagram, you better get your butt over there. Fastest growing platform there is. Get over there. But on Instagram, they have this post that's viral right now with Robert Downey Jr., like I think it was like 19 years ago at his like arrest or something in like an orange jumpsuit, and then now the Avengers, you know, next to it, and people had pretty much forgotten about that Robert Downey Jr., his past. Like we all know, but nobody thinks of that, right?
Right.
And so I want you guys to understand that if for some reason you need to take a break, and I hope if you feel that way, it's valid, because there's not many reasons that are valid that you just disappear, right? Because again, we're talking communication. It's like, oh, I'm going to stop communicating. No, you just, you know, like monitor yourself, like Dorothy Inez, like you were saying, you know, how you communicate, right? But if you disappear, know that when you come back, that it's okay. You know, people aren't going to be like, she was gone forever and she doesn't know her stuff. No, that's not the case, because they're wrapped up in their own stuff. Right. And you can just go ahead and put that content out there, pump it, and they're focused on what's going on now more and more right here and now.
So do you recommend that they should put out an announcement, hey, I'm going to take a break, I'll be back?
No, it's cheesy. I had to do it because it's what I do for a living, and it was a trauma. That's so don't use my example as that. I think that what you guys need to understand is that there's almost nothing that means you have to completely disappear. You know what I mean? If you're in business, you should be on social media. If you feel like you have some feelings with social media that are being stirred up inside you, first start journaling to understand, because again, we're looking at it as communication, right? What is happening here? And then you can say, well, I don't really like what's showing up in my feed. And when people tell me that, I say, well, why haven't you designed your feed? And they're like, I didn't know I could do that. I'm like, why don't you know you can do that? Facebook has always had that feature. What is it that stopped you from looking into that? What is it that's allowing yourself to have that smoke screen? Let's dig deeper, guys. Let's dig deeper, gals. Like, let's face the real truths about ourselves so we can progress faster, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we can look at whatever we want to look at. My social media is filled with business people, inspiration, people just blowing up the world in big, beautiful ways. I don't see anyone complaining ever.
Right.
Ever. Because I've been
when
ever, right?
Like, I'm like, my feed is positivity, and if you're negative, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. People on stages, people giving to charities, people giving back to the world, people helping people, people uplifting people, people having conversations about ideas and innovations and how to change the world. If your feed doesn't look like that, then you need a redesign.
Yes, very good. And what I'm hearing you say, and what we've both been saying, is taking responsibility for your social media, taking responsibility for your mindset, for your confidence, getting into action. Quit being a person that sits back and complains and is negative. Do something about it. Get into action. So Leilani, I know my guests have enjoyed you today. I know you have a free gift for them. Can you tell them about the free gift?
Yes, I can. So I am super excited, everybody. I am getting ready to launch an incredible Instagram guide. It's called Gram Like a Boss. And so what I am giving to people who are entering into my email list for that is I am going to be giving some tools on Instagram via video of myself. So I'm going to create a video just for you guys. If you write a couple things in the thread, before I create that video, I'm going to look at Dorothy Inez's thread over the next day to 2 days and grab what questions that you guys have about Instagram specifically. And then if you guys, I mean, if I don't see anything, then it's going to be whatever I want to make a video about on Instagram. Okay. So I hope you all participate. Right. But then I'll check back and make the video Saturday and send that out on an email blast. No later than this Sunday. And so all you have to do to enter in is I'm going to give you guys the phone number to text Go Time. These are the words you're going to text Go Time to this number, 206-929-4792, 206-929-4792. And if any of her lovely guests wouldn't mind typing it in the thread for her, text the words Go Time. Because it's go time for people to see you. I know she's got some amazing people following her, and I know you guys are doing amazing, amazing things. So it's go time.
Thank you. It's go time. Thank you, Leilani, for so much. And for those of you who are interested in learning what does it take, like I said, it's time to get into action. And so if you want to know what does it take to work with me, just reach out. You can go to my booking page at www.dorothyinez, that's DOROTHY Inez, INEZ.com/book me. And you can apply for an appointment there. I would love to talk with you, see where you're at, and see how I can help you work through your up level so you can show up and shine as your most powerful, brilliant self. Leilani, thank you for sharing your brilliance with us today. And make sure you reach out and get her free gift she's offering you. Again, you want to text Go Time to 206-929-4792 and reach out to me. You can even just private message me if you're interested, and I'll get that link over to you. God bless you, and thanks for tuning in today. And I'll see you next week. Who's my guest next week? I forgot who my guest is next week. But anyways, I know I have an amazing guest for you next Wednesday, so tune in, be ready, look out for it. Take care.